In the dazzling world of pop music, where stars rise and vanish overnight, one name has burned itself into the fabric of global culture: Katy Perry. She wasn't born into fame, nor did she have the easy path of industry connections. Instead, she grew up in a strict preacher's household, where even listening to secular music was forbidden. Yet from those repressive walls, a fire was born, a fire that would one day set the charts ablaze. How did a small-town preacher's daughter transform into the candy-colored queen of pop, with anthems that defined a generation? How did she conquer the world with hits like Firework and Roar, stumble into controversy, and survive the brutal backlash of fame? This is the untold story of Katy Perry, a journey through glory, scandal, and reinvention. Katy Perry was born Catherine Elizabeth Hudson on October 25, 1984, in Santa Barbara, California. Her parents, Keith and Mary Hudson, were Pentecostal ministers, devoted to faith and strict discipline. Growing up in this religious environment meant that Katy's childhood was sheltered, even suffocating. Pop music, movies, and television were considered sinful. Instead, she was raised on gospel hymns and church choirs, far removed from the glamorous world she secretly dreamed of. Money was tight in the Hudson household. The family often relied on food banks, moving frequently as her parents pursued their ministry. Despite the hardships, young Katy found joy in music. She began singing in church at just 9 years old, her powerful voice standing out even then. She would later recall sneaking forbidden cassettes of artists like Queen and Madonna, sparking a hunger for a world beyond the church walls. Katy also picked up the guitar as a child, writing her first songs as a form of escape from the constraints around her. Yet this passion caused tension at home. To her parents, music should serve God. To Katy, it was a gateway to freedom and self-expression. This clash between faith and ambition shaped her early identity. It forged the resilience and determination that would later define her career. From a childhood of strict rules and constant struggle, Katy Perry began dreaming of something far greater, a stage that would one day belong entirely to her. Katy Perry's first step into the professional music world came at just 16 years old, when she released a gospel album under her birth name, Katy Hudson, in 2001. The record went largely unnoticed, selling only a few hundred copies before her label folded. For a teenager who had pinned all her hopes on music, it was a crushing disappointment. But instead of giving up, Katy made a bold decision. She would reinvent herself. She moved to Los Angeles, chasing the dream of becoming a pop star. Those early years were grueling. She was signed and dropped by 3 different record labels, often left broke and uncertain of her future. Katy slept on friends' couches, recorded countless demos, and faced rejection after rejection. Yet she refused to surrender, sharpening her songwriting skills and building the resilience that would define her career. Her persistence finally paid off in 2007, when Capitol Records signed her. The following year, she released the single that would change everything, I Kissed a Girl. Controversial, bold, and irresistibly catchy, the track shot straight to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Suddenly, the preacher's daughter who once sang gospel hymns was the center of global attention. Katy Perry had officially arrived. But as her star rose, so too did the pressures and the storms that would follow. Katy Perry didn't just break through, she dominated the global music scene. Her 2008 album One of the Boys put her on the map with hits like Hot and Cold and Waking Up in Vegas. But it was her follow-up, Teenage Dream 2010, that cemented her as a pop phenomenon. With singles such as California Girls, Firework, E.T., and Last Friday Night, Katy achieved a record that only Michael Jackson had accomplished before: 5 #1 singles from one album. Her image became as iconic as her songs. With brightly colored wigs, candy-coated costumes, and whimsical stage designs, Katy transformed herself into the queen of fantasy pop. Her concerts weren't just performances. They were full-blown spectacles of neon, fireworks, and surreal theatricality. Fans worldwide were captivated by her ability to turn every song into a celebration. By the mid-2010s, Katy Perry had become one of the highest-paid entertainers in the world, earning tens of millions each year from music, tours, and endorsements. Her California Dreams Tour and Prismatic World Tour grossed hundreds of millions of dollars, placing her among the elite of pop royalty. The ultimate peak came in 2015, when she headlined the Super Bowl XLI halftime show. Performing for more than 120 million viewers, Katy delivered a career-defining spectacle, from riding a giant golden lion to the now legendary left shark that stole the internet. That performance remains one of the most watched and most talked about halftime shows in history. At this moment, Katy Perry wasn't just a pop star, she was a global icon, shaping the sound and look of an entire era. But as with many artists who climb so high, the pressures of fame would soon pull her into some of the darkest and most difficult chapters of her life. Behind the dazzling lights and candy-colored image, Katy Perry's life was far from perfect. Fame, as she would soon learn, comes with a price. Her whirlwind marriage to British comedian Russell Brand in 2010 was as fast as it was dramatic. The couple tied the knot in a lavish ceremony in India, but just 14 months later, it all came crashing down. Brand ended their marriage through a text message on New Year's Eve, leaving Katy devastated. She later admitted that during her darkest nights, she contemplated giving up entirely. But the headlines didn't stop there. In the mid-2010s, Katy became embroiled in one of pop culture's most infamous feuds, her rivalry with Taylor Swift. Sparked by accusations of stealing backup dancers, their Cold War turned into tabloid gold. Taylor's hit song Bad Blood was widely believed to be aimed at Katy, and fans around the world picked sides. For years, the feud dominated the press, overshadowing Katy's artistry with gossip. Then came her professional setback. In 2017, Katy released Witness, an album meant to showcase her growth as a more socially conscious artist. But the project underperformed. Critics called it disjointed, fans failed to connect, and sales plummeted compared to her previous blockbuster albums. For the first time in nearly a decade, Katy Perry, the woman who had once ruled the charts, seemed to have lost her crown. The backlash was brutal. The media painted her as a fading star. Katy confessed that she fell into clinical depression, struggling to reconcile her identity as an artist with her public persona. She had gone from global domination to public doubt almost overnight. This period of scandal and struggle marked one of the lowest points in her career. But as history would show, Katy Perry was not a woman to stay down for long. The next chapter of her story would be about resilience, rebirth, and redefining what it truly meant to be a pop icon. After the storm of failed albums, feuds, and depression, Katy Perry chose not to fade into obscurity. Instead, she reinvented herself. Her new chapter began when she joined the judging panel of American Idol in 2018. With her mix of sharp wit, empathy, and humor, Katy reminded the world why she was so magnetic in the first place. Millions tuned in, not just for the contestants, but for her candid reactions and heartfelt advice. She had shifted from chasing chart dominance to becoming a mentor, and in doing so, she reintroduced herself to the public in a new light. At the same time, Katy began speaking openly about her mental health struggles, destigmatizing topics often hidden in the music industry. She embraced vulnerability, sharing her battles with depression and the pressure of fame, which only deepened her connection with fans. Her 2020 album, Smile, was not about breaking records, but about healing and survival. Songs carried themes of resilience, hope, and gratitude, reflecting the growth of a woman who had lived through the extremes of fame. Beyond music, Katy's personal life also blossomed. Her relationship with actor Orlando Bloom brought stability and love, and in 2020, the birth of their daughter Daisy Dove transformed her perspective. No longer just a pop queen, Katy Perry became a mother, an advocate, and a role model for resilience. Through reinvention, she found a new kind of success, not measured in #1 hits, but in authenticity and impact. Katy Perry's legacy is one of resilience and reinvention. She is more than just the singer of chart-topping anthems like Firework and Roar. She is an artist who transformed herself, again and again, in the face of both triumph and turmoil. From a preacher's daughter forbidden to listen to pop music, to a global superstar headlining the Super Bowl, her journey has inspired millions. She showed that setbacks, scandals, and even public ridicule do not have to be the end of a career. They can be the foundation for a powerful comeback. Her influence stretches beyond music. Katy has become a cultural figure who championed mental health awareness, LGBTQ+ rights, and humanitarian causes, proving that a pop star can also be a voice for change. Ultimately, Katy Perry's story is a reminder that success is not measured only by records broken or tours sold out, but by the courage to remain authentic when the spotlight fades. Katy Perry's journey proves that behind the glitter of fame lies resilience, reinvention, and the courage to sing your truth. CTA. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Stars and Scandals, where we uncover the dramatic journeys behind the world's biggest icons.